Namaste yogis, welcome to your practice. My name is Steven from YogaWorks. This class, about 45 minutes we got together, is called Healthy Hamstrings. What do we need to have healthy hamstrings? Well, we yogis, we like to stretch them, so that's one of the things we're going to do. We're going to be stretching the hamstrings. But to just stretch without any kind of balancing or strengthening would not lead to very good effect. So we're going to balance off the stretching with some good strengthening or activation of the hamstrings in a lengthened position. I'll show you how to do that in most of the poses we're going to be doing together. So I'm not going to ask you to just sort of be floppy and hold a passive pose for really long. Instead, we're going to be looking for ways to make it a little bit more active, and this will set us up for less injury and more range of motion, more things that are within our control, which is one of the things we're trying to do. Another thing is, this is our boy Vuvu. There's all kinds of unexpected things happening here in Mozambique. Today I got rained wet on my way here. Then this old beautiful dog took my yoga mat. He's not mine, but he is here a lot. And yesterday I got almost blown away off my mat. My camera fell over, so I actually couldn't use that video. So this is my second class taping this for you. You can't do enough of this. Yoga is supposed to be a daily practice. So let's see if he will give me some space. Are you going to give me some space? Let's see. You're going to need a strap, so if you need to grab one quickly, then you can do that. And then lie back. If there's not a giant dog on your mat, lie back on your back. And then take the strap, place it around the ball of the right foot, and take the right foot up into the strap. And I'm just going to adjust this a little bit so that I've got two ends of the strap hanging down from the foot, and I can just hold one end of the strap in each hand. And I'm holding it so that my arms are straight and that the backs of my shoulders are down. And then just suspend your leg in this position. And my preference is that the right leg is straight, and even if it means that you got a little bit of a lower angle, you've got a strap, so you can always lengthen that. If you don't have a strap, a towel will do, or a belt, or just grab whatever is nearby and will do the trick. Nice, so we're lying back. This is nice because our pelvis and our spine is in a neutral position. It's unable to compensate for any tightness in the hamstring. So there's a pure hamstring lengthening here. Nice. And take a few breaths just to experience the pose. It's early on in the practice, so take your time. And then open the leg. I'm holding both ends of the strap in my right hand. Open the right leg to the right. I've got a wall here, so I'll just shimmy a little bit to the left. Now I'm almost completely off the mat between the wall and the dog. And then what I like to do is left hand to left hip, just to make that hip a little bit heavier. And if you want, you can bend the right elbow and place it on the ground or on the mat. So you've got a bit of a kickstand to rest the leg in there. Nice. And I focus on a couple of things here, a couple of points of awareness, you could say. Left heel, press it down. Right foot, press it away into the strap. And then right elbow, ground it down onto the floor or onto your yoga mat. Take a few breaths. And then lift the right leg back up and transfer the ends of the strap into your left hand. And there's different ways of doing this pose, but one way that I really like at the moment is just to lean that right leg a little bit over to the left without lifting that right side of the pelvis off the mat. So just a small version of the pose, but I find it gets into that outer hip and outer hamstring quite nicely. Remember, you've got three hamstrings, so there's a middle one, and then a medial one, which is on the inside, and then a lateral one, which is more towards the outside. So take a moment here. If you want, you could even press that right thigh a little bit away from you with your free hand, the right hand. And then lift the leg back up. Now remove the strap for a moment, but keep your leg up, even if it doesn't go quite that high anymore, that's fine. And then reach your hands forward. Hover the bottom leg just off the mat and lift the head, lift the shoulders off the mat. So this is a more active version of the same pose. We're just introducing a little bit of core work. And now you might still get a stretch in the right hamstring, but the focus is now on the front of that right hip and the core, the abdominals working. Good. Release it. Straighten the right leg out if you got space to do that. And then lift the left leg up into the strap. And again, remember, left leg, right leg might be a whole different story. So don't go expecting the same thing from both legs. Adapt it so that it works. And then again, we're holding each end of the strap in one hand. Straighten the leg and also activate your bottom leg a little bit. So be slightly grounded and active through the right leg. And then kick the left foot up into the strap. I like to relax the shoulder blades down and straighten the arms so that I have to do minimal effort with the muscles here, just kicking the left foot a little bit up. Nice, and then hold both ends of the strap in your left hand. Start to open the left leg to the left until it stops. You can hold that right hip down with your right hand if you'd like to, and then place the left elbow down by just bending it. It's going to be enough as a bit of a kickstand. My left leg might be a little bit outside the camera frame, but I'm sure you know what to do in your own body. And I'm focusing on three main areas of interest here. One is to root the right heel down a little bit. The next is to kick the left foot out into the strap. And the third is that place of support from the left elbow on the floor there. Nice. And then lift the leg back up and swap hands, so right hand holds the strap. For today, we're just going to lean that leg a little bit over to the right, but not too much, just so the right foot is somewhere above the right hip. It's not wrong to go further over and into a spinal twist, but it's just a different thing. Maybe with the left hand, you can push the left hip a little bit forward. You'll feel a stronger outer hip stretch. Take another breath here. And then release. The leg goes back up. You can place the strap off to the side. We won't need it anymore. And reach the hands forward. Hover the right foot above the mat and lift the head and shoulders. So you're scissoring the legs, straighten the legs. Lift that left knee as close to your forehead as possible. And it's going to activate the hip flexors here and stretch the hamstrings, but not in a huge way. Nice. And then slowly release it. We'll do one more on our back. So bend the right knee, left leg down. Interlace your hands behind the back of that right leg. And then a couple of times, straighten a little bit more to the right leg and re-bend. You can rest the head down once you know what to do. And then this is just sort of flossing the hamstring. Don't go too far. We don't want to force that leg to straighten when it's not ready to do that. So I'm keeping a little bit of bend at the end of this motion. Nice. And then other leg, right leg straight. Hands behind the left thigh. Lie back. You know what to do. We're flossing the left hamstring. So just a couple of times, bend and straighten. When I say straighten, I don't mean super straight, but I mean a little bit more straight than before. Nice. Last one. And then slowly release. Downward facing dog. I'm wondering how I'm going to do that. Let's work around Vuvu here. Downward facing dog. Stretch the heels down towards the mat. Stretch the heels down to the mat. We'll do a couple of activations. The first one is to bend the knees a lot. Bend the knees a lot. And now tilt the tailbone up and tilt the sit bones up towards the ceiling. You're lengthening through the arms, push the hands down. But now keep tilting the tailbone up and start to straighten the legs a little bit. Straighten the legs a bit more. It doesn't have to be all the way straight, but just see if you can make the heels nice and heavy. Make the heels nice and heavy. Keep lifting the hip, the sit bones up. A couple of breaths here in this version of down dog where we're accentuating the length and the hamstring, the backs of the legs a little bit more. And step your right foot forward. Stay on fingertips, and then a couple of times dynamically we're going to straighten the right knee a little bit more and then rebend it. Again, doesn't have to straighten all the way. This is not the point of this class. It's just to have healthy hamstrings. Remember, that's our goal. And if healthy hamstrings means you don't push too far and you stop before you're stretching too much, then that's a really good thing. Nice. A couple of times just to get a feel for how those muscles are doing today. Good. And then step back, downward facing dog. Same thing. Bend the knees a lot. Lift the sit bones up. Like you're trying to expose the bottom of the sit bones to the sky. And then keep that. Straighten the knees a little bit more. Stretch down towards your heels. Full stretch back of the legs in your down dog, and then left foot forward. Nice. Same thing, couple of times. Move the left hip back and rebend the left knee. So moving left hip back will have the effect of straightening that left knee more, but don't get too hung up on straightening it all the way. It may not happen, and it's not important. And a simple movement, repeated a couple of times. Nice. And then back to the downward facing dog. Or the resting dog. You know, when I do down dog, you can also copy this other dog here, which seems quite relaxed on his yoga mat, or my yoga mat, I should say. And step right foot forward. So if it all gets too much and I'm asking crazy things, then rather copy Vuvu here. Good. And a couple of times we're stepping right foot forward. You're going to have to lengthen the distance and then pull your right hip back so it's into half Hanuman, the half splits. I like to lift the right toes so you're getting into calf as well as the hamstring, and then rebend. Do that a couple of times. Just moving backwards and forwards. And again, it's like we're flossing the back of that right thigh here. Oh, and I think the electricity just went off. I'll just add it to my list of unfortunate things that happen here in Mozambique. And can you move by pulling and pushing with that right heel? It's a different kind of engagement. You're going to be using that left hip a little bit less and the right hamstring a little bit more. Nice. Step back, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Lift the sit bones up and soften the heels down so you're lengthening those 2 points away from each other. Nice. And then left foot forward, right knee to the mat. Lengthen that stance a bit. You can either move the knee back or the foot forward. And then a couple of times, stretch left hip back, lift the left toes, and then rebend. Again. Keep moving through these two shapes. And then again, as we did before, can you let that movement come mostly from that left leg, pulling you forward and pushing you away. So from the left heel, actually. Left heel pushes, you move back. Left heel pulls, you move in. So try to keep your right hip quite relaxed. It's able to help, but it's going to take away from the strength and the stretch on the left side. Nice. And then back to downward facing dog. Yes. Oh, nice. I just got a little bit more space from our friend here. Nice. From here, lower the knees and straighten the legs out in front of you. Nice. Bend the left knee. Let's start with the left knee. Open the left knee to the side. And walk the hands a bit forward, but first dig that right heel into the mat. Bend and lift the right knee a little bit. So you're not doing the normal version of Janu Sirsasana, where you reach for the toes. Today, don't do that. We're looking for a bit more of an active version where we're asking the hamstrings to engage and be a little bit stronger. So dig that right heel down and lengthen the spine. Good. Lift back up. Swap legs. Left leg straight. Right knee out to the side. And instead of straightening this left leg today, bend the left knee. Dig the left heel down. Walk the hands forward any amount. That's 3. Push the left heel down. 2. Pull the left heel towards you without moving it. 1. And release. Now open the legs wide. Upavishta Konasana. And again, the same thing. We're going to lift the knees a bit, bend the knees a bit. Dig the heels down. Lengthen the spine. Maybe this is it. You feel plenty. That's okay. Or walk a tiny bit forward until it gets interesting. Maybe the elbows come down. For today, don't straighten the legs. We might do things, more intense stretches later on. But for now, keep it at this. Pressing heels down. Feel the sit bones, feel the heels, and feel the hamstrings are engaged as they are lengthening. Slowly release, and then come to standing. I'm going to forward fold, but with a little difference. I'll show you from the side. Bend the knees a good amount. Press the hands, the palms of the hands, and your forearms on the backs of the calves. Nice. Keep this, and push the calves a little bit forward with your hands. With the calves, press back into your hands. Nice. It's good to bend the knees a little bit, hang the head down, completely fold over the legs, and then push the calves back. Like there's a little tug of war happening between the hands and the calves. Nice. Should feel like quite a strong stretch in the hamstrings, and maybe a little bit of a different access than you might be used to. Good. Slowly lift back up. Nice. A little hamstring strengthener now. Stand at the front of your mat. We're facing forward, and then just step the right toes back behind you. Have the hands on the hips just as a reference. And then start to hinge from the hips, just like flat back. Don't go too far the first time. Just check it out and then lift back up. Every time you lift back up, that hamstring on the left side has to do quite a bit of work there. And then lean forward until you stop and lift yourself back up. We're doing 5 in total. So lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. It's flat back, but with one foot back, so it's unable to help a lot. 2 more. Lengthen the spine forward and see how far you can go reasonably. Lift back up, and 1 more round. Lean, 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 lean until you stop, and then lift back up. Nice. Second side. Right foot. Step a little bit. No, we've done this side. It's because I turned around. Left foot, step a little bit back. Imagine 2 times on the same side. Left toes back just for balance. We're facing forward, and then lengthen the spine to the front. Keep the first one a bit mild so you know where you're going. Lift back up, and we're just doing 4 more of these. Lengthen and lift. 3 more. Reach the chest forward, lift back up. 2 more. Feel the hamstring lengthen as you fold, and then pull as you lift back up. 1 more. You've got this. Quite a strong, active way of getting to the hamstrings. Good. 1 more little stretch, and then we'll move into our sun salutation. Bend the knees a lot. With the left toes, lift them up, and then slide the whole left hand under your left foot, all the way to the wrist. And then do the same on the right, lifting right foot, sliding the right hand under, and then press down a little bit through the toes. If you've got a bit more space, you can start to push the feet down and lift the hips up like we've done before. And then if you still got space when the legs are straight-ish, then you can rotate the elbows down, so elbow creases forward, and then press the elbows or bend the elbows a bit back towards your shins. It's a nice wrist stretch for the top of the wrist there. And of course, quite a hamstring stretch, you'll feel that. Nice. And then release your hands from underneath the feet. Bend the knees and slowly roll up to standing. Nice. Fufu, can you move a little bit off the mat? Yeah. Okay. Good, just making some space. Stand in mountain pose, the top of the mat. Inhale, lift the arms. Here we go for our sun salutations. Exhale, forward fold, lift the sit bones, dig the heels down. Inhale for flat back, lift the heart high enough and lengthen the chest forward. Exhale, step your right foot back, right knee to the mat. Now, just for a moment, we'll add a bit more hamstring work. So pull that left hip back into Ardha Hanuman. So you're straightening a little bit more to this left thigh here. And then re-bend the knee. Press back into downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward to plank pose. Exhale, slowly lower down. Cobra pose, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart. Don't go too far, just keep it mild. Exhale, downward facing dog. Remember, down dog, we're lifting sit bones, we're stretching the heels down. And if you prefer to do that with the knees bent, then that's totally fine. Nice. Inhale here. Exhale, right foot forward, left knee to the mat. And then draw the right hip back. Lift the right foot into half split pose, just for a breath. Re-bend the knee, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, lengthen the chest forward. Exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale, lift and lengthen, reach up through the fingers. Exhale, the hands to the heart. Keep going. Inhale, lift, reach. Exhale, hinge from the hips, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. The hamstrings are involved, they're lengthening, but they're also holding you in position here. And then left foot back, left knee to the mat. Start to move the hips back, especially that right hip. Lift the right toes off the mat. And then bend the front knee, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale into plank pose. Exhale, slowly lower to the mat. Roll the shoulders back, cobra pose, chest forward. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, take a breath here, lengthen the heels down. Exhale, the left foot forward, right knee down. Pull the left hip back and straighten it a bit through the left leg. And then step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana, which means intense stretch to the back body. Inhale, all the way up, lengthen. Exhale, hands to the heart. One more round, both sides. Here we go. Inhale, reach up through the arms. Exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back. Feel the spine relating to the hamstrings here. Exhale, the right foot steps back. Now stay with the back knee up this time. Start to move left hip back. If you like to, you can lift the left toes off the mat as well to get into the calf. Pull the left hip a little bit back. And then rebend and step back to down dog. From here, inhale, plank pose. Exhale, slowly lower. Let's stay with the cobra pose. Roll the shoulders back, chest forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale in down dog. Exhale, right foot forward and keep the knee up off the mat if you can, and move your right hip back to straighten the right leg a little bit. Good, we're stepping forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold a little bit deeper by rounding the back and lifting the hip points. Good, inhale, lift the heart, lift the hands. Exhale, hands to heart. We've got half a round left, and then we'll change into some standing positions. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, all the way down. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, the left foot back, keep the knee up. Move into, it's a vertical triangle, not triangle, pyramid pose. Draw the right hip towards the back of the mat. If you like, you can lift the right toes as well. And then rebend just to step back to down dog. Inhale, forward into plank. Exhale, control all the way down. Roll the shoulders back, it's cobra pose, a nice little counter to all the forward bending we're doing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Can you feel how down dog is also a forward bend? Inhale and down dog. Exhale, the left foot forward, right knee stays up, and draw the left hip back, maybe lift the left foot. Full stretch of the hamstrings, especially as you pull the left hip back to the end of the mat. And then step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, flat back, feel the hamstrings lengthen and be active. Exhale, forward fold. The combination of these two, that's where the gold is. Inhale, lift all the way up and reach. Exhale, hands to the heart. Take a slow breath in. Take a slow breath out. Nice. Standing on the left leg. We'll add some standing poses, a little bit of balancing work, which is, there's a few great ones for the hamstrings here. So I'm standing the left leg, hover the right foot above the mat. And then hands to the heart if you like to hinge the torso forward as you stretch the right leg back. Nice. It's okay to start with a bent left knee, especially if you need a bit of help with your balance. If that's going well, then you can push the left heel into the mat to straighten a little bit more through both legs. Otherwise, top leg will be straight and bottom leg might be a little bit bent. That's fine. And then hinge up. From here, bend the right knee into your chest. We're going to give two options. Option one, just hold the knee and stand up tall. Option two, if you can reach, hold the right big toe in the right peace fingers of your hand, so the index and middle finger. If this is going well, you can start to reach the right leg a little bit forward in front of you. Try not to collapse through the pose because you're trying to reach that leg forward at all costs. Nice. So kick your foot into the hand without losing your posture. Even if it means this top leg doesn't go all the way straight, that's fine. And then swing the leg back. Standing split, the hands go all the way down and the right leg goes, I was going to say all the way up. That's not going to happen in my case. I don't know about you. If if your right leg goes all the way up, then enjoy the right leg going all the way up. I have no idea how that feels like, but it looks good in the pictures. Then step the right foot back. Turn the right heel down. So we're setting up for another pyramid pose, but we'll do it a little bit differently. And then pull the left hip back and the right hip a little bit forward. Nice. Now here, feel how the feet are pressing into the mat. And with the front foot, create the action of dragging the left foot under you or back towards the back foot. Quite an active stretch. Your left hamstring is engaged because you're pulling that foot back. And it's also lengthening just because of the position we are creating. Good. And then either step back, just down dog is fine. If you want to keep moving, you can always do plank, cobra, downward facing dog, unrushed. Take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Good, walk to the front. Slowly roll up to standing. Nice. We're going to keep right foot down, hover the left foot above the mat. And then start to hinge from the hips, so left leg will go back and the chest will go forward. You're going to have your hands however you want. And stretch back through the left heel. Try to straighten that left leg a little bit more. If you need to bend the right knee, that's fine for your balance. Or you could try push the heel down into the mat and straighten a little bit more through that bottom leg. It's going to get more into the hamstring, of course. And then hinge up to standing. Option 1, you know it. Hold the knee. Not much of a hamstring stretch, but then again, you might need a little break from all of that. So this is for you. If you're like, no more hamstring stretches, please. Then hold the left big toe. First stand up tall. Maybe you stay here, this is good. Maybe you start to kick the foot into the hand, that's also good. And then maybe you go till your maximum. And then left leg lifts up and back, standing splits. The back of the left leg, feel that, it's lifting you up, your hamstring and the glute. And of course the back of the right leg is getting quite a stretch here. Then step it back, turn the back heel down, almost like a warrior one legs, and start to pull that right hip back and lengthen the spine a bit. So it's not that you can't round your back, but we're trying not to overly round the back so that the head appears a little bit lower. That's not going to be of much benefit. And remember, we're doing an active version, so press the foot down, especially the front foot, and create the action of dragging it back from the right hip. Nice. And then step it back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, lift the sit bones. We haven't done this in a while. Lift the sit bones, keep this, and start to slowly stretch the heels, lower, lower, lower. You might actually feel there's a bit more space in this whole setup than maybe earlier in this class. And then step the right foot forward, left heel down the stand, going warrior 2 just for a moment. Good bend in your front knee, reach the arms. And straighten the front leg with the right, sort of the webbing between your index and thumb. Press the right hip crease in. So actually what's happening, right hip dips down, left hip is lifting up. And then you're going sideways, lengthen the bottom side of your rib cage to the front here. Nice. Keep this. And then with your right hand, go towards a point of support. It could be your right shin, it could be the floor, it could be a block, it could be a chair nearby, it doesn't really matter. Just find something to rest your hand on. And then if you want to, left arm can go up, And then again, we're going to do the same thing. Push the right heel down and pull the right heel under from that hip socket there. It's going to ask the hamstrings to be active in the lengthened position. Good, lift back up. Turn the feet to parallel. Have hands to the hips, press the feet down and lengthen the chest. Forward, 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 forward until you stop. When you stop, just lower the hands down. This is good. And then we'll do a couple of activations again. We're not just sort of dropping in and hanging out passively. There's benefits to that, but today with a little bit of a different approach. So from here, whatever touches the mat, mainly your feet and your hands a little bit, push it down. Ground down, especially through the feet. Then all the rest, which is the hips, the belly, the muscles in the legs, even the shoulders, lift them up a little bit. So create a little bit of that lift against that grounding in the legs. It's a whole different way of doing the same pose. And then slowly lift it up. I'm just going to turn to the second side. Turn the left toes out. Bend the left knee for warrior two. Oh, and the light came back on. That's amazing. Reach the arms out to the sides. Take a moment in warrior two. The light is not sure if it wants to be on or off. I understand. And then straighten the front leg. With the left hand, push that left hip in. Lift the right hip at the same time, so you're sort of hinging sideways. Nice. Keep that. Rest the left hand on something. It might be your shin, it might be the ground, it might be a block. Just choose a point of support. When you're ready, lift the right arm up. And press the left heel down and pull the leg underneath you. It's not actually going anywhere, but you'll definitely feel a difference, mainly in that left hamstring. So just experience this really active version of this pose. Another breath or so in triangle. And then lift back up. Nice. And then we're just going to come down to the mat. Actually, you could just lower the right knee since we're on this side. And start to move the right hip back. Align the right hip above the right knee. And then move left heel a little bit off to the left. So you're a little bit at an angle. Nice. You can stay in this version of the pose. Remember a couple of cues we've done before. Lifting sit bones, digging heel down, activating that left hamstring as you lengthen it. You can continue that work. Or if that starts to feel good, a little bit more open, then you can always slide the heel further forward on the diagonal. So off the mat, further in that corner, and walk the right knee a little bit back. So we're not quite doing the splits. Well, it's a version of the splits. One leg is forward, one leg is back, but we're a little bit off at an angle. Nice. Stay here for a moment. Doesn't really matter how far or not so far you go. This is just to sort of use the range of motion that we have rediscovered. We didn't create it really, but we just made a bit of space for it. And then step back, downward facing dog. Thank you, electricity gods or people. And we're going to do the other side. Right foot step it forward, left knee down. As we've done before, move the left hip back, wiggle the right foot a little bit forward and a little bit off at an angle, so you're on the diagonal. And then simmer here for a little bit. You can hold this very pose for a little bit longer. If you're like, no, give me all the hamstring stretch and go to my maximum range, then that's also fine. You can reach the right leg further forward, left knee a little bit further back, and then wherever you stop, well, that's obviously where you stop. Don't overdo it. Actually, hamstring attachment injuries, that's one of the most common injuries that I hear about in yoga classes with yoga practitioners. So it's usually caused by going too far too quickly, and sometimes by teachers wanting their students to do stuff before they're actually ready for. So don't do that. I told you to stay in the last pose, so I hope you are choosing the right option for you. Good. And then step it back and sit with the legs straight out in front of you. Nice. Last pose before we relax, bend the right knee, open the knee to the side. We've done a version of this Janu Shirshasana, which is a bit more active, and now we use this as a kind of like a dessert. You don't have to activate a lot, just a gentle stretch. So keep the left leg slightly active. What I like to do is actually reach with the right hand over the left leg to the outside and add a little bit of a side bend. You might get to the shin, the knee, the ankle, the foot, it doesn't really matter. And then just take a moment to rest in this pose. I find this a really nice one to breathe into the lower back. And then lift back up. Well done. Let's swap the legs. The right leg goes straight. Left knee bend it in and open it out. Nice. Walk a little bit forward. Maybe this is it. If you want to add that side bend twisty variation, left hand goes over the right leg. Anywhere, your knee, your shin, your ankle, your foot. And then rest here for a few moments. The healthy hamstrings, we need to move, you have to get off your desk, chair, or out of your car. You've done this because obviously you're doing this practice, and then you also need to move in such a way that's not just stretching. There's a bit of a balance between some strength and some flexibility. And I guess the last element is some determination. You keep coming back to some of these practices, and when your body lets you in, then it lets you in. And then slowly lift back up. We've got 2 minutes for Shavasana, always a good idea. If you need to run, then you can, but I would recommend to lie on your back for a moment. Shuffle side to side, stretch the legs long, open the palms of the hands towards the ceiling, and then rest the body down and just feel the heels heavy on the mat. Feel the calves, feel the backs of the knees, feel the hamstrings. We've done a lot of different poses that involve them. And feel the back of the pelvis resting in peace. 1 minute to go. I'll keep quiet until the minute's over. Start to take a few deeper breaths. If you got more time for Shavasana, by all means, stay as long as you like. If it's time to go, then move your hands, move your feet. Bend the knees, roll over to one side. And then come up to sitting. Bring the hands together in front of the heart. Touch your hands to your forehead, to your heart center, and bow to yourself on the mat. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste, everybody. It was a pleasure to share this practice with you. Thanks for logging on and for coming back to your mat. It means a lot that we are able to practice together in this way. I hope to see you here again soon. Take good care.